All right, this is pretty awesome. I really like this. It's very appropriate for this month. It is the month of October, Halloween. This is by Julian, and this is really, really fun, unexpected. So we have a bunch of reapers. Well, not reapers, grim reapers, sort of skulls and creepy looking things all around. And we got this Day of the Dead type character. And so let's go ahead and critique it. I think the first thing that I like about it is how you have all these different light sources. You have the glow coming from the inside of the hood or the cape thing. And then you have this top light coming from the top, obviously, 'cause it's top light. That's kind of hitting the arm there and the top of her head, and then just touching the nose a little bit. So that's really cool because what happens is it creates a lot of nice shapes when you zoom out, a lot of angles and all that. That's really cool. What I would do is actually emphasize. I'm just going to duplicate everything, and I'm going to just bump up the contrast and the values a bit. I'm going to go ahead and hold Alt and use the layer mask there. And then makes these shapes a little bit more obvious, so that when you zoom out, it reads really well in terms of simple shapes. And it's a very slight, almost subtle adjustment, but and again, that's just kind of like a personal thing. It doesn't mean that's the right or wrong way, but I think when it reads well as a thumbnail, it'll definitely read well when it's zoomed in. And then I would actually continue that in different areas of the painting. Like I would maybe pick a few spots to let the highlights show through. Maybe on this guy over here, so that we have like the main focus, which is over here. But it's nice to give the viewer something else to look at over this way, then something over here, and then here, and then to come back to the original starting point. It kind of creates a dynamic composition where your eye moves at different places. So that's kind of what I would recommend for that. Then I might actually select overlay and emphasize the orange where it's orange. So I just use the airbrush, select orange. Add a little bit of warmth. Let some of the orange theme happen from the other guys, from the other skulls and Grim Reapers, just very subtly. And then erase out a little bit, so that it doesn't take too much attention away. And now what we have is this kind of shape isolated, and then it gets repeated here, here, and here, and it will emphasize that kind of geometric read. And it's very subtle, but it's something that you can pay attention to. And if we compare it to the original composition, it's still beautiful, right? And it's like we're looking here and everything's happening, but you can sort of support that by letting the rest of the composition be supporting factors in terms of shape and focal points. And so I guess the next thing I wanted to talk about is the skull. So I actually pulled up some reference of some skulls. It definitely reads as a skull. It's really good. What I'm going to do is draw on top of it to kind of refine it from that angle. Alright, so the same thing that I did over here with the reference and kind of figuring out where the facets are and where the light goes, basically I was just looking over at this reference and trying to match it at this angle. Now I could have found a skull that is actually at that angle, but I mean this was just good enough for me because of the lighting. And I think it's a pretty fun thing to do. So anyway, so the same thing that I did over here, I would recommend treating it the same way over here, just not as much detail, because then it will start taking attention away from here. I would handle that with just enough detail to make it a bit more refined with the lighting. And then the same thing with the hand and the skull. I mean the skeleton hand and the regular hand. Make sure that you have some good reference for that. Another thing that I could talk about is this hand or the arm kind of just stops right over here, but I extended it to be past this line where the cloth is, so that we have a more interesting shape thing happening where things are crossing over each other, because before it kind of just stopped, and it looks like it's coming. Oh wait, I guess that is coming from, of course. Yeah, it's coming from the inside of the cloak there. But okay, well, if it was another hand coming from somewhere else, the reason I did that is because it's more interesting to see things cross over than cause a tangency. By tangency, it means like it would stop and then line up with a line that exists. Anyway, so another thing, so we have some wrinkles and folds happening here. I would emphasize that by pulling up some more reference, and what you'll find is like if here's the insertion point, a lot of the folds will sort of meet up there, and then create like a dynamic, almost water flowing composition within that, rather than, because it seems a bit random where it's like, okay, fold here, fold there, which is fine, it still works, but this is more interesting to look at. And if you do the same treatment over here, and if it seems like you're already doing it, but let the folds curve around the form of her arm, and the form of her arm is doing this, right? If you look at it like a wireframe, and then you sort of emphasize that with the clothing. And then same thing here, kind of just find some more believable looking folds, and that would be best if you found reference for it, of course. Why is that so big? Okay. And then if this is some kind of corset, I think you're probably going to catch some light on these things a little bit more. But I would also find some kind of texture, or render the texture of the material there. Looks like you're catching some light here, but it looks like it's leather or some kind of, definitely not regular cloth. So take a look at how leather really acts in light, and you'll have like this kind of rough textured quality, but it's still reflective and it looks kind of shiny, right? And you would have little specks of reflections in the cracks of the leather. So that's something you could also consider. And also for the hair, the same thing that I was referring to with like designing the shapes of the folds. You can design the shapes of the hair, and I've mentioned this in a previous crit, where you can kind of have like this, more flowy, dynamic, almost stylized design of the hair, and it will support the design of everything else. And everything is kind of just pieces of the big puzzle and the overall puzzle. And so, find whatever style you're comfortable with, right? But because this kind of just looks a bit undesigned, if you will. It just kind of has like a flow of hair there, then this, and then, but there's no continuity there, right? It ought to feel like some kind of composition in every square inch of your painting, right? So that's what I'd recommend for that. It's cool that you have a background. You got some stuff going on there. Let's take a look at that. I would maybe emphasize the value differences. I wouldn't make it too bright over there. Like, I think the brightness is just fine because it's eerie, creepy, very Halloween-like, like haunted horror, almost Devil May Cry feel. But just kind of let the blocks of contrast happen like that. It just makes it feel a little bit more complete. And then maybe a little bit of the clouds emphasized overall, I think it's a really fun, great piece. There's one more thing. If you have this, voodoo freaking whatever that thing is, maybe since it's metallic, like let some of the edges catch some highlights like this, especially in the shadow area. And it's a really easy way to kind of indicate metallic items, armor, weapons, and then go back onto those with just little specks of pure white. And then when you zoom out, it definitely feels a little bit more metallic. Anyway, good job, Julian. This is really cool, and thanks again for your support, and I hope that helped. All right, stick around for more. Thanks to everyone else for watching. All right, enjoy.